Okay, everyone, welcome back to our Positivity Posters project. So, in our last video, we started to sketch out some ideas of some things that made us happy, some things that made us feel positive. I asked you to pick at least 3 items. In my first sample here, I had 7. So I had animals made me happy, books in the library, my family and how much I love my family makes me happy, travel makes me happy, desserts make me happy, making art makes me happy, and listening to music or even making music makes me happy. So that's what we worked on our last video, and I can't wait to see what you've come up with. Again, I've asked you to choose at least 3 things that make you happy, and I thought we'd start this video by talking about why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? So in a couple videos ago, we talked about how to get more of our thoughts to go from negative to positive. We want to have days where we're spending more of our time having positive thoughts than negative thoughts. And again, you can't do that every single day. That would be nice, but we are human beings and we have emotions and we have situations that we have to deal with, so we don't always get to have 100% good thoughts all the time, but it would be nice if we could get closer to having more positive thoughts and less negative thoughts. So that is why we're creating these posters, because we want to remind ourselves of the things that make us happy, the things that make us positive. So that's why we're doing this, because we're trying to get more of those happy thoughts in our lives and less of those bummer thoughts in our lives. So are you ready to learn sort of a big adult sounding term, about a big science thing? Are you ready? Benzie and I, we are both ready. So I would like to talk to you about something called the reticular activation system, and we could call that the RAS, the reticular activation system. So briefly, this has to do with how your brain works, So your brain likes to see patterns, and it likes to find things that are like other things. So let's say that you decided that your favorite car is a vintage Trans Am, and you like it when it's a blue vintage Trans Am car. Like you've decided that's your favorite thing. Your brain is then going to go and look around for other cars that are like that. They're going to find your brain is going to look for other Trans Ams. Maybe they'll find a dark blue one or a green one, but your brain is going to find other things that you like. So that works in the other way too. So let's say you're thinking about things that you don't like. Like let's say you don't like to eat peas with your supper, and you keep thinking about peas and you keep thinking about peas. Your brain is going to find other things with peas on them in the world. So like maybe you walk down the aisle at the supermarket and you see a huge display of peas. It's because you're thinking about peas, so you're going to see more peas. It's really kind of magical. So, I mean, Bunzie's saying, wow, he's excited, I'm excited. So what I'm hoping that we can do is to get to a place where we are thinking more about the things that we want. Like for me, I want to think about animals, and I want to think about books, and I want to think about traveling. I want to think about my family. I want to think about desserts. I want to think about making art. I want to think about music. So if I create this art piece, this positivity poster, and I put it up somewhere where I'm going to see it all the time, I'm going to be reminded of positive things. And then when I go out into the world, or when I'm sitting around maybe watching videos or playing a game, I'm going to notice more of these positive things because of our reticular activation system in our head. It's amazing. Are you amazed? I feel amazed. Bunzie feels amazed. Okay, so that is the why we are creating our positivity posters. And let's get back to the how. So we started on the how. We have talked about the why. So I'm going to take a look at what's in the bag again, and your bag is going to maybe be a different color, and your supplies may look a little bit different as well. But remember, we've already started working on our white paper, and if you didn't get a kit, that's just fine. That's just fine. We have some white cardstock here. We have some colorful paper that we can rip up and glue. We have a glue stick. We have some stickers and some colored pencils, and we have a pencil sharpener. And I don't know if you remember in one of the last videos, maybe the first video that we had, I talked about I was going to teach you a trick about using your pencil sharpener. Well, hold on to your hats, folks, because that's coming up. And again, we have some tape in our bags. We have some scissors that we're going to be careful with. Other kinds of interesting paper. We have markers. And yours may be different colors. Again, each of these bags is sort of a little bit different. And you have some positive sayings in your bag. So if you weren't sure what kind of positivity you might like to put in your bags, onto your poster, I've added some for you to just cut these up and glue these down to your posters. So I said I was going to teach you a cool trick about using your pencil sharpener. So the colored pencils that you have in your bag come pre-sharpened, but eventually you're going to need to sharpen your pencil again. And here I have a pencil that needs some love. And okay, so traditionally we put our pencil in the pencil sharpener, not a big deal. We've all done this before. And then we think about turning the pencil. Okay, here's the big artist tip. Here's the big thing. I'm going to suggest to you that you put your pencil in just like you did before, and you hold the top so it doesn't come off, and you turn the pencil sharpener. So instead of turning the pencil, I'm going to suggest you turn the pencil sharpener. And that somehow just makes it a little bit sharper than when you turn the pencil. Sometimes these pencils like to break. And I find that when I turn the pencil sharpener versus turning the pencil, I have a sharper point on my pencil. And I'd love for you to experiment with that to see how that works out for you. Okay, so here we go. I had suggested that you start with 7, but just to make this video a little shorter for you so that you can get on with making your art, I'm going to start another one, and this time I'm going to use only 3 of my positivity prompts. So I'm going to start with, in the middle, I'm going to put my family. So let me kind of get a bigger circle. And remember what I talked about sketching? Sketching is making light lines at first so that they're easy to erase. And then you can draw your heavier lines later. So in the middle, I'm going to put my family. So I'm going to put a big heart. And I'm just going to write in the word family, because that's something that makes me feel good. And then I'm going to do 2 bubbles on the side, because I'm going to do 3 things on my positivity poster for this sample. I wanted to make it a little bigger so you could see. And in this one, I'm going to have my make art. So I'm going to have a paintbrush. And if you're not sure how to draw any of the things that you're looking to draw, just leave me a comment here or send me a message or get in touch with Community Arts of Elmira, and we will answer all of your questions. So, because this isn't really a drawing class, we could have a drawing class on another day. So I'm going to put in an artist palette here, and that's where your thumb would go. And then this is where I will color in with my colored pencils. I will put in my paint swatches. And then over here, I'm going to put dessert as my other thing that makes me really happy. So I like eating dessert, and I also really, really like cooking and baking. So I bake my own desserts. So sometimes I'll look at cookbooks at the library, or I'll watch YouTube videos on people who like to bake. So I will remind myself of the happy times I have when I'm eating dessert and when I'm making dessert. So those are going to be the three subjects that I put on my positivity posters. And then all in the background, I'm going to add all kinds of designs. I'm going to rip up some of my paper and glue it back down. And I think just so that you can see it a little better at home, I am going to use some of my markers that I have on my desk to start coloring in. We also talked about the color wheel a while back, a couple videos ago, a couple of times. And remember that complementary colors that we talked about, that colors on the opposite side of the color wheel make each other look brighter and happier. So if I have red, I'm probably going to want to put some green in there because red and green are on opposite sides, and the red will make the green look brighter and the green will make the red look brighter. So if you don't have complementary colors in your marker pack, I'd like you to check in your colored pencils. I'm using the markers here just so that this gets a little bit brighter so that you can see what I've got going on my sample positivity poster. All right, so I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to leave myself an area where it looks a little bit shiny, and then maybe I'll make my background, my circle and my background green, because remember what I said about complementary colors making each other look brighter. And now maybe I'll make stripes. Go some stripes that way. And I would love for you to really take your time when you're doing this. You know, I'm doing this a little bit quickly just because we're on this video and I want you to get involved in creating your positivity posters. So you take your time. And again, I would love to see what you make. You could send me a note here. Let's see, maybe I'll put more this way. So I'm just adding some easy peasy designs. So nothing I'm doing here is rocket science. It isn't super hard. So if you're a person who's going to say, I can't even draw a stick figure, well, don't worry, because so far there haven't been any stick figures in this drawing, have there? No, not a one. Okay, so then maybe I'll come over to here and give myself some purple icing on my cupcake that I like to bake. And remember, on the opposite side of purple is yellow. So I'll add some yellow near the purple, just going into my box of markers. And again, you can use your colored pencils for all of this. And if you have some crayons around, that's great too. But I'm using markers so that you can see what's going on from there. Neat. And maybe I'll put it on a table. Let's see, maybe I'll put it on a table. Maybe I'll use this other purple. So here's an interesting thing. Here are two purples. This one has more red in it. It has a bit more red. So the way we make purple is by mixing red and blue together. When you mix red and blue together, 50-50, they create purple. When you add a little bit more red than blue, you get a color that looks like this. It's a little bit more red. And if I put this one next to it, you can see it looks a little bit more blue. So this would be considered a warm purple, and that would be considered a cool purple, because remember we talked about in the color wheel video that you can have warm colors and cool colors. So here I've used the cool purple here. Maybe I'll use the warm purple on the bottom here to give myself a table and a big circle to contain my subject here, and a little shadow. Cute. Oh, and maybe I'll add some stars in the background just to give it a little more design. I could absolutely be cutting up the construction paper that I put in there in your kit, or the colored craft paper, or maybe you have some paper around your house. You could be cutting all of that up to make your designs. I'm using markers here today because I'm feeling the markers, and maybe I'll do like a shiny spot and a shiny spot. Looking cute. All right, so let's see. Just fill this in a little. And I'll make it darker here because it's got a little bit of a shadow. I like when things look like they have a shadow. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, and so then the last one, so why don't we keep going with our complementary colors? So the last set of complementary colors is blue and orange. They are on opposite sides of the color wheel. And when they sit next to each other, they make each other look a little bit brighter and a little bit happier. So I'm definitely going to use those two, and maybe I'll grab this here brown marker if I can get it open. There we go. To fill out this artist easel. And you can see I have it going right off the edge. It's just fine if it doesn't go, it doesn't fit all the way in. It's sort of a design technique to let it kind of fall off the edge there. Let's see, and maybe I'll make the barrel of the brush. That's what this area is called on a paintbrush. I'll make that yellow. And then, let's say I was painting with orange. Ooh, can't get my markers open. So I'm painting, I've got orange paint. And I'll put some orange paint here in this hole. I love using my imagination. So this is the hole where the thumb would go, your thumb would go if you're holding that. I feel like making art is a form of freedom. It's a form of freedom. So here I'm going to use this blue because I used orange on my paintbrush to make my circle. And it's a wonky circle. You know what? That's just fine. Don't worry about it. Just keep making art. It's more important to make art than to make perfect art. Just make art. Perfect, it can be boring. So I've got these splotches of paint now on my artist palette, and because I love rainbows, I'm gonna sort of put these colors quickly in rainbow order. And this isn't going to be a perfect rainbow. You're missing a color. That's okay. And what's my last one? It's purple. Cool. And so then again in the background, maybe I will put maybe I'll put stars in the background here too. Oh, I'll make those bigger stars. So I only used 5, now I'll use 6. Just to make more design stuff happen. And then the last thing I have to do is add in my family word there. And I really like purple. So maybe I'll use that same purple. That way all 3 of these have the same color purple in them. Cute. So fun. All right, so now all of the background here, I could do all kinds of fun things. So I've got some paper here, and I've got my scissors. I'm going to be careful with them. And I'm going to say, oh, enjoy the journey. That's on here. That looks good. I think I'll use that one. And you could just write things onto paper and then put them down. So I'm just going to put them down to start with, just kind of eyeball it. And then before I put things down for sure, ooh, this is a good one. I like the follow your heart. So I've got our stickers here. Let's see, I'm going to cut this one off and lay it down put it like right there, overlapping, like follow your heart, and it's right near the heart. That looks pretty cool. And let's see, I just have some random paper around, kind of like this. Ooh, the stripes. I like the stripes on here because I have the stripes there. So maybe I'll cut a piece of that off and just put it on like confetti. And maybe later, I'll at some other time, maybe I'll write into these white spaces. So, ooh, I like that idea. So I'm going to add a couple of those so that your positivity poster can keep growing as you do. So you don't have to finish it all at once. You can let it sort of grow. Like if I wanted to, I could add more bubbles as I go on. So remember, we talked about this, our glue sticks. You don't need to pull them, push them all the way up like that. You're just gonna make a mess. You only need a little bit of glue coming out. And then I'll put some glue on my piece, and then bammo, let that dry. So again, I'm gonna maybe one day add more words here, like maybe I'll hear a lyric of a song or a poem that I like, or maybe something will come to me, or somebody will say something to me that I think is neat. Sometimes I hear things in movies that I like. Okay. Enjoy your journey. So I'm going to put that over next to the painting, next to the art bubble, because sometimes making art is a struggle, and I have to remind myself, enjoy the journey, enjoy making the art. Okay, and then follow your heart. Where do you think? Oh, maybe it looks a little bit better down here. So I'm going to take my sticker and bam, I'm going to put it there. Oh, I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. Okay, I think that might be where I stop for right now. Off camera, I'm going to erase some of my pencil lines that I used for sketching, and maybe I'll add a couple more pieces of paper. We'll see. I can't wait to see what it is that you're making. So I am going to stop for now, and we'll go on to the next video. Keep making art, folks.